Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. I am so sad today as I've been for this last week. I'm sure you have been as well. There's been anger, but I know that's not going to help at this point. To see our brothers and sisters have to live in a place where they have to wonder what's going to happen to them if a police car comes behind them, or what's going to happen to their son or their daughter or their child. I know that's not the intent of the police, but to have people of color have to live with that crushing sense of fear and concern and worry and anxiety is just so unjust, and it's been going on forever, and we all know it has to stop. And I hesitate just to send out a video because I tell people obviously what my thoughts are, but I don't have a clear answer. I think my answers wouldn't be the right answers because they're coming from a white man who hasn't had to experience all of those things. But I feel for our brothers and sisters, whatever color they are, whatever background. We become so tribal about politics and so tribal about religion and so tribal about race, and we're forgetting we're the human race. And so the only way I thought I might be able to contribute is not just how I think it's obviously wrong. Anybody watched it, I think the only thing that maybe has united us is how bad and wrong and terrible and evil this is. I think anyone who watches it knows that. But my concern is that you see people out protesting with good conscience because they care, being thrown in with people who are out destroying those very communities. Some of them, it appears, have come from other places to do it, and some of them are actually from those communities. And I think I understand. I couldn't possibly thoroughly understand the rage they have. But obviously that's not the same. And I hate to see people using their constitutional right to protest and try to bring focus and attention and say that enough is enough to this being mixed with those. As much as I am also upset to see so many good police officers who really do care, they put their lives on the line for us all, to be thrown in with those that are just unconscious and evil or selfish or whatever it is, the disgusting behavior, that think they're better than someone else because of the color of their skin, or just unconscious in how they treat someone, put their life at risk. It's insane. But you know, if 100 aircraft are going to land at the airport and 98 land successfully, no one's going to remember the 98 that landed successfully. They're going to remember the 2 that didn't. And unfortunately, that's happening there too. So to try to foster some form of understanding, the only way we can get through this, I don't think, is by screaming at each other. The way to do it is to have some form of discussion. So a couple days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, I was trying to think, what could I communicate? What could I deliver? And I just thought my words are not going to matter that much, but maybe the words of people who are leaders in the African-American community could make a difference. And so fortunately, I have a lot of friends in this community. And so I've put together a podcast I'm going to do on Friday, and then we'll be releasing it later. But it's made up of a really diverse group of amazing leaders. Martin Luther King Jr. III will be there, the son of Martin Luther King. Of course, we're going to have people from the religious community there, like T.D. Jakes, some of you know very well. I'm going to have in that group of people Jesse Jackson, in the group of people that are coming there. We've got some people from sports. I'd like some to be surprises, so I kind of hold back on it. And of course, we're going to have George Floyd's brother there too. So they're all going to be sharing. So I'm reaching out to you to say, number one, I love you, and I hope we can spread some compassion and love and understanding, and the contribution, the little one that I could possibly make, is to bring together a group of people to communicate. And I'm mentioning it to you now because if you have a question you'd like to ask, any of the individuals that are going to be involved there about what their experience is, what it's like going through America as an African American, what has brought us to this, why we're reacting at the level we have. I mean, the Band-Aid it's not a Band-Aid, the wound has been ripped open again. And what can be done to change, most importantly? What can we do? No matter what color of our skin is, or white, black, brown, any color, any background, any religion, what can we do to be part of the solutions to the problem? Please send it to me here, and if you want to send me a video question, I might use it in the group. You can send it in my DM, and we'll look at that as well. But I'd like this not to be just my conversation, because I'm going to have my perspective, but what I want is to be our conversation. So please, if you're interested, give me a question. And these are going to be people from civil rights, people from sports, people from business, people from the religious community. And we're going to have a police officer there also who's a white officer who's gone through amazingly difficult attacks, and who, by the way, people have been attacking and saying he's a racist, and he's married to an African-American woman as his wife, and he obviously has biracial children. And so we're going to try and look at it from all angles and see if it can become a conversation that brings some understanding and some compassion and maybe perhaps some insight on the way forward. I don't pretend to have those answers, but maybe the leaders from all over the world and different communities can, and maybe your question can stimulate that. If so, I'd love to hear it. So as we go through these tough times, let's send love to our brothers and sisters of all colors and backgrounds, and let's see if we can't bring the voice of reason and the human heart and spirit and soul back to the people living in this country and around the world. So I'll look forward to hearing from you. Until then, live strong, live with passion, and God bless.